Hello.
Smaller bug, it's harder to see the bits and pieces and that sort of thing. So lots of discussion about what a native animal was and all that sort of thing. Yeah, and then where we were going to release it, because we found on the ground outside the boys' toilets, decided that wasn't really a safe place for a weta to live. And yeah, so it was quite interesting, sort of getting into sort of researching the, where a weta might live and that sort of thing. So we released it into the orchard, so hopefully it'll
survive,
make its way there. So yeah,
we have a bug house on the back of our decking because our children are going through a bit of a bug phase. So we started building our bug house, but then as things happen, we got a bit sidetracked and we knocked onto a new tangent. So my lovely husband finished the bug house for our children. So when they bring their bugs in, they've got a hotel to go to as opposed to.
Yeah, we've got a bug hotel in our orchard at school.
Yeah,
quite cool. But I think it needs a bit of revitalising. I think it was one of the early Enviro projects, so that sort of, as more things come on, it's kind of it looks more kind of it's not 5-star anymore.
Ours needs some new inhabitants. So
it's that time of year though when they start coming out, isn't it? So it should be easy to find.
The bugs are probably quite happy for you to leave it alone.
I think so. Well, they were all being left inside and then they weren't surviving very well, so the bug hotel was the perfect extension to their interest.
Cool. Okay. Well, we might just wait a couple more minutes and then we'll get started. I started recording it, so just welcome everybody and thanks for remembering to come along. We had a lot of people register, but I think it's going to be kind of interesting to see whether they have remembered. I put up a reminder on the Learning Through Play page, but who knows who checks that. Probably all at home with their feet up, but for you that have come, I'm just really grateful that you've been able to join us.
Tara's never known that I can be this quiet for so long, eh?
I hope you're
Just doing well. Doing so well. Okay, well, I'd like to welcome everybody here again, and great that you could come and participate. Just make sure that you keep your microphones off, unless of course later on you want to ask a question, and you're more than welcome to turn your camera on and show your face. You're more than welcome to turn the microphone on at that stage, but try and keep it off until then because it messes with the sound quality. So tonight I've got Rebecca Bright from the North Island. Sorry, Rebecca, what school are you from? Would you like?
Toko in Tauranga.
Right.
Yeah.
And she's looking at any comments that are coming up at the side and just feeding those in as she thinks is necessary. My name's Tara O'Neill, for those of you who haven't met me before. I'm from Hayata Community Campus here in Christchurch, and I've had a busy day in the classroom like many of you, but I left feeling really, really happy and lots of fantastic things happened. So tonight I'd like to introduce to you Amanda King. Wave, Amanda. And Sarah Weston, and they're from Oropi School in
Tauranga.
So I met them recently when Amanda and Sarah came down to a conference in Christchurch. So yeah, it's been great to hear their story, and I just thought that it would be really good to get it out to other people as well. Really exciting times with the way play-based learning is taking off, and just want to be of help for getting ideas out there, for helping you in your journey. Yeah, so let's get started. Could you lovely ladies introduce yourself and your school? Maybe talk a little bit about your team, what the buildings are like, and the number of students and their ages. Thank you.
Oropi School is a school of 320 pupils, year 1 to 8. Full primary. It's rural but just out of town. So a lot of the children that we have are from town and come out to us by bus. We are a mixture of single cell classrooms and 2 pod ILEs. So in our junior team, we've got 5 teachers, and so 2 pods of 2 and a single cell. Our whole school is heading on a learning through play journey. We've been doing learning through play in the junior school for 5 or 6 years, and it's now starting to roll its way further up the school, looking a little bit differently. Yeah.
So do you have one big space, or do you have breakout rooms?
So we have a bit of everything. In the new entrant pod, there's myself and Jordan, and we have it was the repurposed original part of the school, so from 100 years ago. So it has had a wall knocked out and some glass doors put in, plus we've got a wee side room. And then across the deck from that, Sarah works with Lucy, and that is 2 prefabs that have had a hole knocked through them. So it's kind of like a Z formation. And then there's also a single cell. But a big focus of our learning through play is the outdoor, because we're a rural school and we've got a great big gully down the back where the kids spend loads and loads of time. So the outdoors is
in the sand pit, and we've got a school garden.
And we have a shed. We're really, really lucky that our board has always been on board with our learning through play. And so for the last since 2014, our board has funded a teacher aide who works outside and in our what we call the shed, where we have carpentry and the water play, messy play, the sand pit, and it also supervises the gully. So
I can just see Tracy's comment. Yes, we have visitors.
We have visitors almost every week. So you're welcome to come.
Welcome.
But I'll start talking and then but yeah, you're welcome to come and have a look.
So do you want to tell us a little? Oh, so you have 5-year-olds or 5 and 6-year-olds?
So we've got a year 01 where we've got 32 children, and then so Sarah and I don't teach together. We are next door, and you've got.
So Lucy and I each have 24 children.
And that's year 1, 2s.
Yeah, year 1 and 2s.
But all of our year 0 to 4 children start their day with play. Interestingly, that's since Christchurch, Tara. Mm-hmm. So the middle school, since coming down to you, has they used to play at 10, didn't we, jump in there? They used to play at 10 o'clock, but they've now changed it to starting the day with play like we do, so the children roll into play, and they probably will be doing the self-registration like we do too, just because that way we're all doing play and we can visit each other's classrooms, and we can all use the shed and the sand pit in the gully. They were finding that because our children are used to starting their day with play, when they've got this year to the middle school, there's been that, and actually what one of the teachers said to me just yesterday was they're not valuing the play enough if it's not set up to start the day. It's too hard to set it for them. It has to be manageable, and it's too hard for them to set up after they've done the reading program. So they kind of... We set up the night before, so the kids come in, so all the provocations that we've set up.
So I'm just a little curious as to how you got into learning through play 5 to 6 years ago. What has been your journey? And how did you get here?
Our journey is different. I'll talk about my journey and then Sarah can do hers, because Sarah's is a really interesting story, and I won't tell your story for you. But I came back into teaching part-time when my children were young at Oropi School. I was just doing Fridays. That was back in about 2012 when they used to do discovery on a Friday. And I had been, whilst at home with my kids, heavily involved in Play Centre. So I came in, I guess, with a placenta lens, which anyone who's been a placenta mum or done placenta training understands the student-directed play knowledge that you get from that. And Pat, who was the team leader, and I just kind of ran with it. So Pat retired at the end of last year and had been the team leader until the middle of last year, and this was her baby. And it was almost like, this is how she used to teach in the 70s, and she was determined to return education back to its rightful state before she retired. So we did this discovery, and then we got the shed funded for us, so then play became something that the children did while we were teaching instead of worksheets, but we were doing the real teaching, and that's why we had a teacher aide in the shed. And it's grown, I guess, since 2014 to what we see now. And the turning point for us was when Pat and Sarah went to that Taupua unconference with you, and they came back and said, we're going to start our day with play. And that was our biggest aha moment, really, to make play the most important part of our day. But you can talk about how you came here, Sarah.
So I guess 4 years ago, actually before then, my children go to Oropi School. So my first child, Dylan, was in year 2. So Pat, who we've just talked about, was his teacher. So I started doing parent help in the classroom. And I'm early years originally. I've been in early years for, teaching for 20 years. Most of that was early childhood education. So I started off as a parent helper, and then they were starting their journey, and I became the shed person, the teacher aide in the shed, because it was nature to me to be in the shed, and I loved it, and helping children with their oral language and extending their play. And then as the numbers increased in the new entrance class, I moved into.
Sarah just said, I'd love to teach new entrance. And just as a side comment, and then we needed another new entrant teacher, and I said, well, and you've never looked back, eh?
No, love it.
So we're so lucky having Sarah, because she understands Te Whāreke in a deeper way than any of us ever could, because she's had 20 years of working with it. Yeah.
I think it's really amazing what Pat did, like how she started the whole, like she knew what the stage children need, and she really did that. And I guess that's why it's so valuable to keep talking to each other, eh? And how important it is to give each other courage to actually break through and do things that we know is right. And if we're all isolated, we can't do that. But coming together, we can get courage together to keep going and breaking new ground, eh? So that's a really cool story. I think what we'd probably like to know now is what your day looks like, what a typical day, if there is such a thing as a typical day. What does it look like?
Do you want to talk about that?
Okay, so what we would like to be a typical day, but it changes from day to day, is the children. So our children start arriving at 8:10, the children who are on the bus. Officially, school starts at 5 to 9.
Yeah.
But it's, see, I don't even know, because our
day starts when the kids arrive.
Yeah. So our children roll in from the time that they walk through the door. It's play. So they roll into play, and then when the official bell goes to start the day, we just carry on playing. And and that's what we call our real pure free play, in that the first hour, the teachers are involved with the children, working alongside the children, observing the children, doing our learning stories, extending the interests for that first hour. And then after that, we roll into our numeracy, and we do that to morning tea. Thanks. And we were just having a discussion about that today.
A bit different to us,
yeah. Oh, you've changed yours, haven't you?
Yeah.
And then, so you can jump in. We do morning tea. And then
so Sarah's children are a bit older. They're year 1 too.
Yeah. And after that, and we were talking about that today, play-based maths, but actually we're just talking that it's more activity-based maths. So we've been having lots of discussions. So then it's morning tea time, and after that our children come back into, for me and Lucy, it's our main literacy book. And we do free book exploring. And then we have then just recently changed it to writing. And after writing, we roll into reading groups. And when we're doing our reading groups, the children are playing, so they still have access to outside in the shed and the activities inside. And then it's lunchtime. Probably lost you all. And after lunch, we do, like a story, and we do a bit of phonics and big book, and then inquiry. We've got inquiry. We're outside to do run around PE games. And
so our day's a little bit different, really similar, but we start our day with play. We just stop the children. We don't clean up. We just leave the mess and the chaos and just come together at about 10 to 10. It's really fluid. It depends on what's happening and if we remember to stop. And we do karakia and have some fruit and just a little bit of together time. And then the children go back to their playing again and we withdraw reading groups. And then after morning tea, Jordan takes the children who are ready to write and they do some writing. I take the children who aren't ready for writing and we do big book and phonics. And I'll ask if they want to write. Yesterday 2 kids wanted to write with me and the rest of them just went off and played again. And then we stop at 12-ish, depending on what's happening. And Jordan will be laughing at the moment. And then we do maths, but our maths is very much activity-based. And then our afternoons when we kind of cram in all that other formal stuff but our afternoons are only an hour. So not allegedly we do handwriting, phonics. We haven't done handwriting yet this term.
I guess we're always tweaking our days though, aren't we? So that's why I was having to stop and think, because Lucy and I have just changed our day around. We're always evolving and changing.
But we're getting less and less. So here we are, 5 years, for me it's 5 years into this, and I'm still getting braver as to what to drop off and how much play to let come in.
That's awesome, and I think that's a big key, isn't it? Is that when you begin, you can begin small because you began with discovery, didn't you, on a Friday?
Absolutely.
And you just build onto that. It doesn't have to be done all in a rush. It can be done like that, but
and then we just moved to only letting the kids play and reading instead of having a task board. Pat challenged me and said, I was job sharing that year, and she said to us, I dare you to not use your task board during reading this year. I'll bet you, this term, it was a term, I bet you'll never go back. And yeah, she was right.
Can I just interrupt there? Amanda has a question to ask, is that do you find that the new entrants settle easier with your play first approach? And then there's another question about maths after that.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely. It's a no-brainer. But even for the year ones, it's just that seamless transition. They can just come straight into play and follow their interests. But also for children that may have had or not an upsetting start to the morning, it's just a good way to come in and they can settle themselves as opposed to sitting down to wham formal mat time. And also it means the parents are heavily involved in our beginning of the day too. Our parents are welcome to stay, and they do stay, and they interact with their children or settle them at an activity.
Have you found that children transitioning from kindergarten, you get less almost sort of school shock type of thing from?
I hope so.
Yeah.
It's been 5 years, so I almost forget.
Yeah.
But, I would like to think that the environment that we offer is something really similar to what they're used to, and that the drop-off situation is really similar. Yeah. I've dropped children off at daycare for years, and the drop-off that our parents have is the same drop-off that I had with my children at daycare.
But their parents are welcome, and they feel welcome, and they can stay, and then they can stay depending on how long that their child needs them to stay. But we have lots of positive comments about our transition to school and how the children come into play. Parents love it because the children are familiar and happy with it.
You've muted yourself, but are you asking about the maths question now?
We can't hear you.
Oh, you can see it there, can't you? Yeah, the question that Shelley had asked about maths, yes.
Yeah. Because we were discussing that today.
So we don't follow the numeracy strategy or project or whatever thing it's called. We about 3 or 4 years ago, devised our own maths more around play. So what we do is we just come together really quickly and we do a little bit of a rich task, and then we set up maths activities for the children to do. We have always said that we do play-based maths, but as I've learnt more and more about what true play is, we don't do play-based maths because we choose the activities. So we put out probably a dozen different activities, maybe dominoes, numeral and word or dot matching, tens frames, things like that. And then the children have free choice over what they do. But I am hesitant anymore to call it play-based maths because it is teacher-directed in terms of we choose the 10 activities that are out.
For the skills that we want them to consolidate.
Yeah, and it's fast. It's only half an hour, and I'm just always amazed with how much they learn.
We do number songs in that too when you're on the net.
Yeah, do some number singing.
Get up and do some movement number songs before we do activities.
Yeah, and we do maths in that way right through the junior school. And then just target teach. Just get alongside a child individually, or if they're playing a game of snakes and ladders and just, or whatever, and just get alongside them.
So just picking up from that, but some people think that play is not learning. So what is your view on that?
Right. So, I wrote a big paragraph.
She's got a seminar.
No, I haven't. I just thought, oh gosh, I'll just do it. So I find that quite hard because being an early years teacher, like it's all I've known, it's all I've ever done. That's the only way I know how to teach is through play. So I think for people who have those really big questions, let me just show you this. I think this is a good read because that really dips into about the Sacred Urge of Play by Penny Brownlee, if I'm allowed to do that. Just because it really talks about how it's in all of us. It's, you know, it's in all of us to play. And if you think about it as adults, we do play too, but adults just forget that, you know, the things that they like to do, like hobbies and that's play. And, you know, play is fun and it's focused on what the children are interested in. So if they're interested, they're going to learn. They're going to be, and if it's see, I'm off on a rant now. If it's child-led, they're going to, you know, lead their own learning and want to do it. So I just, you know, I can go, blah, when I hear that.
It's really interesting, Tara, because, you know, you sent that question through. So I posed this question over the coffee machine in the staff room a couple of days ago to Sarah and another teacher called Tanya, who you haven't met. And all three of us answered it in a really different way,
Similar.
but all with the same passion and justification for play. So I come at it from, what is the point of school? Why are we here? Why are we trying to teach? What are we trying to teach? And what is it that we want the children to learn, I guess, if learning is play? And I want the children that I send out into the big wide world to be resilient, self-managed, independent, confident learners. And hopefully they'll be able to read and write and do maths as well. But actually, being able to read is not going to make you a successful person. Being able to write or do maths is not going to make you a successful person in 20 years. My rant now. In 2030, when these kids are going to be adults, what is it that they need? They need social skills, they need resilience, they need self-management. And play teaches that in a far better way than direct, you know, I mean good play, not loose play.
Yeah. Or play that's directed by an adult and just an activity. You just got to be really careful because play is obviously very big at the moment, which it's always been big for me, but I think there's a lot of different definitions of play too, and it's their understanding of play, and I think it's like we're very much about the openness of play and how it's not closed and the activities. So, you know, like if you've just got an activity set up that says put 5 of these into this pot, you know, that's not play. It depends what you're...
That's a nice hands-on activity.
Yeah, but it's not play. So, you know, I say pure play, it's not like that. It's just, you know, that play that.
Where's that quote from today?
Yeah.
Oh,
Talking about Vygotsky.
we listened to. Do you know
functioning?
Dr. Alex Gunn spoke to us by webcam today. She's amazing. She wrote to Whāreke. Well, she's one of the people that wrote to Whāreke. And she was saying, works for the University of Otago. And she was talking about how the importance of socio-dramatic play being true higher order play, I guess, I don't know what
high functioning.
and she really explained to us the importance of that and the learning in it.
Play that the children lead and play that the children have roles. I know I just saw that.
We're just reading the questions coming up going,
yes.
Yeah, that's a great question.
Yeah.
That's a really good question about how to manage time, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. And we have that too. We're still evolving and changing, and I think, if I'm honest, Jordan and Amanda are doing better, not better, but they're finding more time for their learning stories. Lucy and I have talked about how that's what we need to do. We do learning stories, but this is our big thing that we need to sort out as a school is, if we really want to take on our learning stories like we do and use them in the proper way and the proper assessment way, and they be really detailed, something needs to give. So it's like we're juggling at the moment our play and our learning stories and all that formal assessment. So we've come to the stage where we're like, something has to go for us to take that on. So
I'm so interested because Laura's question says, do you write learning stories only, or do you write reports for children? I hope, I would like to say that this is the last year that we will write reports. Yes, we have just written reports, and yes, we are still sending this message to parents about academic progress somehow being more important than the development of the whole self. So, yes, at the moment we still do write reports, but my vision is next year, year 1 and 2, we will write learning stories. And I need to have a really hard think about what quantitative assessment data we gather, because at the moment we still spend a lot of time doing testing.
yes.
And
Sorry.
if we really want to free up time to be writing learning stories, then we need to get rid of that formal assessment or absolutely minimise it.
Yeah.
So in terms of the question says about writing learning stories, so this is how Jordan and I work it. And our learning stories are not beautiful works of art like, written art like Tara's. One day when I grow up, I'll be like Tara and be able to write really long learning stories. However, in October, by October, we'll be writing some really good learning stories between now and that conference. Anyway, the way that Jordan and I have made it work, because we're a collaborative class, I honestly, I don't know how you could make it work in a single cell class. When one of us is doing book exploring, which is a really important part of our day, just when it's like silent reading for 5-year-olds, when one of us is doing silent reading with the kids, one of us writes a learning story. So I have in my head now, since spending the holidays with Tara, about 2 a week, if everyone writes 2 learning stories a week. And it's not about writing a learning story for an individual child, because it's just not manageable. But it's being mindful of making sure a couple of times a term that, that child's been invisible and hasn't had a learning story, so I really need to actually go and notice what they're doing, because some kids get a lot more learning stories than others. We've got one boy who likes being around adults, so he's in every blooming learning story. I hear your struggle, and we're having that struggle. I'm aiming to write 2 learning stories a week.
So can you just share, have you got a learning story there you can share? Because I think by sharing it, we might idea of some of the rich, I love your word before where you said rich task, but this learning stories or learning narratives give us rich information, So share away.
Yeah, here's one. So this is what our learning stories look like. There's one, so you can see it's a fraction of what Tara writes, if you've looked at Tara's learning stories. However, this is a little boy, Jasper. It was his first week of school. This is back in May. It was like his first day of school even. So I've written, Jasper, on Thursday you showed a real interest. He mustn't have started on Thursday. Maybe he started on the Monday. Jasper, on Thursday you showed a real interest in our new wood stash. You got the trolley and filled it to the top. And then you pulled the trolley to a different area of our playground. You then proceeded to build a tower with them. When the tower collapsed, you rebuilt it without fuss. Should say without a fuss, whoopsie. With what persistence you demonstrated. When other children joined in, you were happy to let them help. When it was clean-up time, you stacked the wood back into the trolley and put it away. We are amazed at your kaitiaki-tanga you were demonstrating by cleaning up after yourself. Well done, Jasper. Maybe tomorrow we could work together to see how big a tower we could build together. Can we build a tower that's taller than you? And then I've just captioned the photos. Jasper, you filled the trolley with wood right to the top. What strong muscles. Jasper, you used a piece of wood as a brake. What great problem solving. You stacked that tower so carefully. It's just captioning all the photos. And Jasper, you are such a tidy Kiwi putting that wood away without being asked. So that's that. But see, I would have written that in 20 minutes. So it's a way that we've found it to be manageable.
We've got another question here just about the use of things like Seesaw and Story Park and that sort of thing for sharing and I know that's something we're experimenting with at the moment. Have you had a go at that or thought about it?
Other teachers have, not us personally. No. Our year 2 teacher uses Seesaw. We at the moment they have the folders, and I would never go away from having the paper copy because the kids read these. In book exploring, the kids pore over these every day because they're looking at themselves and they're learning. Next year, I think what we're going to do is go for paid Seesaw, because no one at the school, Tara, when I went home and went, oh my goodness, Tara uses this amazing management system that's probably cost $1 squillion. So I think we'll go back to, we will use the paid Seesaw, so then we can have the links in of the curriculum so it's faster, so that we can go click, 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 click.
I have a Facebook page, but that's not quite the same, but it's still another way of informing the parents of what we've done, and I put our play photos on it and we have communication like that, but we still do our learning stories too. So
first of all, I'd use Seesaw at a drop of a hat. I used it when I was at Tikaraka, and I used Seesaw. I think it's really easy for parents to access. The reason that we use Linked, I think, is because we're an area school, and so we go right up to secondary. So we need a system which can cope with a broad range of ages. And the reason I think that I agree with you around having paper copies is, like you, we have children run to get them. And we're setting up a wee trip out to Willowbank next week, and I've got a wee boy who brings me his book every day. Willowbank will go in here. So I think it becomes a really good example of literacy in action. Yeah. And I think that as much as I love online stuff, having the paper stuff there is really helpful.
I would never move away from having something that the children can access easily. However, I think that it's inevitable that we'll move to Seesaw. We also have a class Facebook page, and we post on that every single day almost, of cool things that kids are doing.
I guess it depends if iPads become more ubiquitous, if they're in the classroom more and more and they're cheaper, and that becomes the way everyone rolls, then the kids will go and get their iPad and look at the stories on there through Seesaw, you know what I mean? And at the moment, we kind of need both. And the other thing I wanted to say is the story that you wrote is beautiful. I love the simplicity. And while you say I write a lot of words, I'm trying not to write a lot of words. So don't change.
Yeah. It's about, for us, deciding that learning stories are really important and how can we make it manageable.
Yeah.
So I think that Jordan and I have come up with a formula that works for us, that we can do learning stories without it causing stress, but really capturing the joy that we see and the learning that we see.
Do you capture much of your academic learning through learning stories?
I have done some, like, sorry, jumping in, during our numeracy times, when they're doing their math activities, because I'm quite used to doing that in early years, that we use it in all areas. But yeah, again.
Yeah, we have a separate maths book.
I stick it in there.
In the maths book or yes.
No, in the maths. Well,
yeah.
I do
so we try and take a photo of the children once a week in their play in maths, and then get student voice to say what they were doing in their play. And yeah, so it's not in terms of maths, it's not quite a learning story, but it is student voice around their learning. When we move away from formal reports, then yes, there will be a learning story about literacy. There would be an expectation that teachers do a learning story around literacy and numeracy before the folder went home or for teacher or whatever.
Yeah. That said, our learning stories, they do writing, they do literacy in their plays, so they do that too.
Yeah.
Okay, so what are you most excited about developing in your practice at the moment?
So we've got this big thing at the moment about just trying to reduce the plastic toys that we use compared to natural toys, because we're very lucky to have our beautiful gully, and our children spend lots of time in the gully and in mud and puddles, and we go out in all weather. So we're just trying to bring that back into the classroom. So, and actually with the help of the whānau and the community, we've actually put out a shout saying we're after all these natural resources, and if you've got any baskets or you name it, bring it in. So we've had a really good response actually, lots of parents bringing us in like, whether it be seed pods or shells or, so just,
rocks,
just bringing nature back into it, more and more natural things. You might even just having plants around the classroom or getting rid of all the plastic.
How have the children responded to that? Like, what have they done?
Good example today. They love it.
It's been amazing. The trigger for us to go this way was, even though it's been something that we've kind of always had there, was we listened to Penny Brownlee. We were really lucky. Penny Brownlee came and spoke to us a couple of weeks before the end of term. And she was talking about her experiences of BSM and, the little plastic things, and how the children she taught used to throw them around and abuse them really. And we've certainly seen that with plastic stuff as well. So she got rid of it. This is back in the 70s or the 80s, and she got rid of it and replaced it all with natural. And the children treated those resources with so much care.
So I have to jump in there because I forgot what I was going to say too. It's the fact that the natural resources are more open-ended. Like when you have the plastic toys, usually there's one thing that they can do and that's it, job done. Whereas the natural resources, open it up to that imagination more. So that was one of the main pushes behind it too.
Yeah, and they do, like Jordan pointed out to me today, like the children had filled the whole play kitchen. They'd taken the sink out of our play kitchen so that they could fill the entire cabinet brimming to the top with pine cones. So they still use these natural resources as imaginary play.
And as you were saying, that is the highest form of thinking, isn't it? When a child, when anybody uses a pine cone for water, for instance, so they're substituting it in, that's really important thinking skills for what they're going to need ongoing with their learning.
And that's exactly what we were talking about today when we were in our workshop. We were talking about how important that socio-dramatic play is, and to, the abstract thinking, and to be able to use other things in their plays as opposed to just a fantastic toy out on the table.
And I'm loving, from my perspective, I chuckle at myself because last year Sarah, Pat and I were team teaching, so it's different context, and I was always that one saying, oh, we better teach maths, or are we going to stop and do writing, better clean up. And this year, I'm this person I'm the one that turns to Jordan and says, oh, the play's so good, let's just carry on playing today. Maths can wait till tomorrow. And I just love that I am seeing that much value in the play that we don't need to teach formal maths.
Yeah.
But you're doing it in the play. You're doing it in the play.
Oh, I should show you. Honestly, I've got actually, where's the iPad?
Yeah, please show us.
Show you these photos.
We had a similar thing happen today. We normally stop at 9:45, so we start at 9, just with play like you do. Go into 9:45 and stop for Puna Akwa, which is our social emotional teaching. But everyone was so focused, and we had these really amazing dramatic play things happening around the place that we just had to keep going.
Yeah. And Lucy and I do that quite often too. We just look at each other and go, yeah, keep going.
I mean, this is not what I'm looking for, but there's this incredible block urge going on at the moment, and I'm going to write a learning story about all the block stuff, but the amount of incredible geometrical structures being made by blocks spontaneously in there. But there's a kid today sorting, see the rocks? And all our natural stuff. So what he was doing is he had the shells and he was sieving them. It was really interesting. I didn't think that he, but let's look at this. So look at the horrendous pink plastic fantastic that's been donated to us at some kind of ghastly Barbie house or something that the girls are playing with. But sitting there right along the side, they're in the middle of a socio-dramatic play about ponies or horses or something, and look at what they're doing. It's like, why do we need to stop for maths?
They're doing it.
Like, it's all, see, there we are, the horses. The horse, I don't know if you can see that, there's a horse by the ghastly Barbie something or other, walking over the tiles that the kids have used to. So, yeah, that's why I... Stopping
Yeah.
for maths.
And so
An even larger ghastly Barbie house than that.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, used
the Barbie
all
play.
sorts of things.
They do love it too, so you know.
Yeah, we haven't got a plastic yet.
And I think another thing that we have got on our to develop, the whole of the reducing the formal assessment. That's, we've talked about that already. About what we need to, prioritise what comes first, what's more important, and what's gonna.
That's it. Emma Tiley. That's what I thought it said. Emma Tiley says, "What should we be doing?" We talked about this today. What should we be doing while they are playing?
Observing, noticing, responding.
Yeah,
it takes a long time to find that balance, and I think this is the big thing too. You have to not beat yourselves up. I think some people find it really hard to let go of the control, and they think, I'm the teacher, I have to be in there, I have to be right in there and mixing it up in that. And actually, sometimes you just need to step back and watch what they're doing. And from watching what they're doing and observing and noticing, then you are understanding their urges, and then you can extend those. But I think also it's not always about the outcome, it's the process that they need to go through. I think sometimes we get a little bit hung up on what's going to look like at the end if you don't after all of that, but it's a process. And it's just, and like you were talking big today about being a responsive teacher, we've taken a lot of that away from when we went to see Tara too, and it's just about responding to, just sitting back and watching, and we talk about backwards planning too, you can't plan for everything, and you actually need to just sit and observe and be in the room with the children, and yes, work alongside them, but not take over, and it takes a long time to find that balance.
Yeah, I think there's as much wisdom in knowing when not to intervene with what the children are doing. It's really, so this afternoon we had a really interesting conversation. We had a man who is facilitating a group of teachers in Tauranga who are keen to get going in play-based learning. And that's who we talked to as part of the conversation today. And I was talking about box construction. So our children I'm talking about the new entrants, not Sarah, because Sarah's kids do quite different things. So our children started painting boxes, probably about halfway through term 1, inside and outside, obsessively. You can't keep up with the box construction. I have never had a class who's liked the junk construction boxes like this before. Like, I need to use more laundry powder, honestly. But, we have parents bringing in bags and bags of boxes, and they're gone by 10 o'clock every single day. And this has been going on. You should see how going home track. This has been going on for months. So I have just been watching and observing, and we put out things for the children to do with the boxes, or things to decorate the boxes or whatever, but we kind of leave them be. And I have just got a new kitchen, so I had all these boxes at home, so I thought, aha! So at the beginning of the week, I brought in all the big boxes that were empty, and the kids started hiding in them and painting them and claiming them as their own and decorating them. And so then today it was like the ultimate. I brought in the box that the range hood had been in. I've got more photos. I can bore you to tears. So that box today, so it was really interesting. The reason why I talk about this is the man who runs these workshops came in to observe us today. And he said to me at the workshop, what was the learning that was happening with that box? Like, why were you so interested in what was going on with the box? So I explained him the history of us with boxes. Now that box started off, first learning was a little boy who decided that box was his because they claimed things, and he wrote Roman, 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 Roman all over it. By 9 o'clock, probably about 8:30, would have got off the bus. And I said to him, I'm sorry, Roman, but that's actually not your box. That's actually my box. And I brought that box in for everybody to use. So today you're actually going to have to share that box. Now that was really big learning. There's the first learner. Because that was really hard for Roman to realise that he was going to have to share that box. But he coped with that. And he went and got his pillow, because we're sewing at the moment, that he sewed yesterday, and he got inside the box and had a little sleep. And then other children came and joined in that. And then I went away and I had to do some testing, so I missed what happened next. Jordan might be able to tell us what happened with the box while I was gone. By the time I got back, a different group of children entirely were playing with the box. I just need to look at because I'm in the middle of writing a learning story about it now. Yeah, and so then, there's Roman having the box with all the children playing around him. And then I don't know what happened while I went and did some ghastly testing. Then when I got back half an hour later, this is happening. So Roman's nowhere to be seen anymore, but there's a child in that box. So they're working out how to close the box so that the kid can't get out.
The child wanted to be in the box.
Yeah, the child was waiting. Surprise, the child came out of the box. So then they have this great big game of Jack in a Box. There she is. Look at that. How cute. She's popping out of the box. So that went on, and then it was morning tea time. Then those same kids went and played somewhere else, because I have no other photos. Then I got back in from morning tea to this. So, no. Oh, bugger. Should have it on Seesaw, eh? I bet you it's easier to find them on Seesaw. So then after morning tea, we come inside, we come back to this. So it's different children again. They've got a different child in the box, but they've worked out how to close. If you hold a blanket over it, then it's better than sellotape. So there's another child in it, and they're pushing her around the classroom. Look at that, look at that.
So transportation village going on.
And so this is, oh, there she is. So it's a different child in the box. You know, how can't you love it? How can you not see? But I guess because I understand the process of everything that has been going on, the social interaction, the sharing, the
turn taking, problem solving,
the maths, and working out how much sellotape that you need to stick down.
Yeah.
The science, because one piece doesn't work, but maybe if I get a blanket,
teamwork, there's collaboration. Oh, God.
Anyway.
I can see that Shelley hero do have everything. Everything
out at once. That was the next. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think you can probably see from, so yes, we do provocations. So sometimes it's based on what we've seen the children interested in, and it's extending that. So like my children are bug mad at the moment, so we've built a bug house, and we have lots of what I call small world play out on the tables with natural resources and bugs. plastic bugs. Sometimes the children bring live ones, but then I also have lots of loose parts too. So sometimes it's a little bit of the teacher setting up a provocation and seeing where it goes, and then other times it's completely just giving them the materials and seeing what they want to do with it and letting the children take the lead. So yeah, bit of everything. But I guess it's my early years in me, my and Lucy's classroom. So we have 2 classes that are joined, but we are team teaching. So we have set up our classrooms. So there's like one classroom has the home corner, the other classroom has the construction area, so that's encouraging the children to mix and move around. So we set up those areas. I always have in my head, well, that's the kind of literacy book corner, and that's the home corner, and that's the construction corner, just so we make sure that we have all of those resources out.
I'd quite like, we've got about 10 minutes left. I'd quite like you to have a look at that question about Eero, because you've got something to say, because you've been in this for 5 to 6 years. You've seen what happens.
We've had Eero. So interestingly, I'm not big on gathering data. That's not my strength. I like to play in terms of how do we measure. Like, honestly, look at our learning stories. Look at the children, for goodness sake. Look around you and see how happy. Anyone who comes to our school, I'll say this to Eero. We've got Eero at the beginning of next year, so I'll be saying this.
Well, you know.
Look at the children and ask yourself, are they happy and settled, and are they learning?
And I have to jump in there. Most people who visit our school say to us, but you don't seem to have too many disputes between children and child, behaviour issues. And like, obviously we have the normal, things that children go through, but it's because they're focused and they're happy and they're learning and they're following their own interests. So no, we don't. I mean, I'll never forget this visitor one day. Because we walk around and go outside and mix with the children. She's like, we can actually leave the classroom. I was like, it's okay. And it's like, is that not what you do? And she's like, but they're all just getting on with it. And I was but I mean, that's all I've known is Oropi School and early childhood. But yeah, so the proof is in the pudding, isn't it? What you said.
Yeah. Interestingly, so we had a conversation this afternoon with another school that's just had Eero. Yeah. Is that Lisa? Is that Eero? I've lost it. I wonder if it's the lady who's asking the question.
She'll know what we're doing.
Anyway, no, it's not, I'm sure. Anyway, they had a difficult situation with Eero. However, our experience, so we had them 4 years ago and we got put on a 5-year review, and it was right at the beginning. We couldn't, were you still in the shed?
I was in the shed
as a teacher aide. So we couldn't articulate this stuff that I can now spout off, convince everybody that I know what I'm doing. Yet we had quite a visionary Eero lady who listened to us and could see the potential. And we got a 5-year review, so she mustn't have been too horrified with what she saw. And we are a lot more able to justify what we do now. I haven't ever gathered data about oral language progress or anything like that. Because
but can your kids read?
Yeah, they learn to read. Yeah.
What about write? Can they write?
Oh, yeah. They can write. They can write. Yeah. And, our children take a longer time to get going with their reading and writing, probably, although...
Do they? I don't know.
Some. But you know what? This is my thing. This is what I say. If I send those kids out of my classroom at the end of the year believing that they are awesome at reading and writing, then I have done my job. Whether or not the only thing they can write is their name, then it's the next teacher's challenge. Because
But does it matter though? Because if we're looking, and that was going back to my thing about why is play learning, if you're looking at the holistic child, every child is ready when they're ready. They're at different stages and phases and it will happen. So if they're not ready, then what's the point of...
Because the flip side is if you start children reading and writing before they are developmentally ready, what are we doing to them?
More damage.
We are teaching them that they can't read and write. So our children learn to read and write. And if they've got learning needs and they're struggling with, or they're taking a long time to get going, then we'll deal with that when we think it's something, when it's time. But 5.
And we always talk about the magic number 7.
Yeah. How many kids get to 7 and suddenly they take off?
Can I ask a question about that as well, as far as you've been doing this for about 5 years? So when your children go out of your more play-based classes and then into, they are being assessed more academically, do they then show that what you've done is a great base for what they're doing now?
That's so interesting you say that, because last year, the year 3-4 pod, so there are 2 teachers collaborating at year 3-4, got, I don't know why, they got 8 year 3-4s at the beginning of the year, new enrolments, you know, kids that started at the end of, and the dispositions to learning for those children versus the rest of the children that they had was markedly different. The teachers were shocked. They couldn't play, they couldn't self-manage, because they still do learning through play. They had no idea
They didn't know how to play.
Yeah, how to drive their own learning. They'd been untaught by the traditional education system how to be self-managed.
And they were a little bit, if I dare say, disruptive, only because they didn't know what to do with their time, so they kind of just wandered around, but that did change over time.
They didn't know how to get busy and focused at play. And play looks differently by the time year 3-4. You know, they're doing passion projects unless they're developmentally still needing to spend time in the shed. Yeah, but that was really interesting for those teachers. They were left going, oh my goodness, because there were 8 of them, it was really marked. And those ones, so those kids now that are our little guinea pigs from the beginning, they're year 5-6 now. And they're still able to do, you know, passion project, individualised stuff.
We have play, so that's our big thing too. We're really looking at play in our middle senior school and how it should look. And they have a shed, but it has more power tools as opposed to our hammers and nails. So we are, moving it into the rest of the school too and looking at how it looks for those older children.
So more like some tinkering kind of, like, I think, ideas and
Yes, and just I guess like Amanda said, it's kind of going from they are on their own journey and they've done a lot of like whole class kind of projects, but now they're looking into moving more into more individualised projects and trying to follow the children's interests in that way, and inquiry based passion projects.
And the seniors do have a shed. There's a teacher aide in the shed, but unfortunately it's too part-day, like it's not like us.
They need more hours, but it's, it's a work in progress.
But there's power tools and stuff in there, so if they want to make something hardcore, there is a teacher aide to support them with that.
Cool. Well, wow, this has been so amazing. You're both very inspirational, and I love the way that you have lots of joy in your stories. You know, you obviously love what you're doing and it really feeds you every day. You don't look stressed, teachers. You might feel it. But
we just laugh. We're not stressed.
You look like you're having such a great time and you're really enjoying what you're doing. I guess we've got time maybe for one more question if there's any burning questions out there. But in the meantime, I think we've covered a lot of different areas. I wonder, like, is there one last thing you'd like to tell us? Like maybe what would be the most important thing to you to pass on to your fellow colleagues?
Everything was
trust. Trust. I'm reading, because Bernice told me to read John Holt's book about, what's it called? Learning how, what's it called? Something to learn, how children learn, that's what it's called. And, he opens the book by saying that, teachers need to trust children.
But I think also if you're starting on your journey, remember we're 5 years in, and I think it can be really overwhelming, and you just have to take it slow, do what works for your environment, and small steps. Otherwise, it does become very overwhelming. So, just bit by bit, and you'll get there. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, it looks like you've got lots of people here saying how much they've really enjoyed it and saying thank you. And just like to say thank you to everybody who has come along and joined us, because without you, we wouldn't be having this amazing talk. We'll do another play talk. I'm really keen to keep this going now, and so we'll do another one in a short while. Actually, I think Rebecca and I are going to have a chat, aren't we, Rebecca?
Okay.
And yeah, thank you so very much. It's just been lovely. We're going to share this with the wide world. So
it's really relaxed. It makes me feel really relaxed.
Because you're amazing. What you've said is stunning, and it will inspire a lot of people. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Cool. Thanks heaps, Tara. Bye. Come visit.
Thank you. It was lovely listening to you talking, and yeah, it's nice to see everyone excited and passionate about being a teacher.
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
You got anything to add, Rebecca?
No, just thank you for coming, and yep, keep the questions coming in, keep posting interesting things, and yeah, please, and use the Facebook page to ask really difficult questions, because we can all pitch in and we can all help, and that's really why I started it, was to get help from teachers, and we're the best ones to help each other, ones that are in the classroom, on the ground floor.
So you reckon our learning stories are all right?
Yes.
We don't need to add another 1,000 words.
No, because the kids.
Have you seen Tara's learning stories, Rebecca?
Yes, I have. Yes. I'm a big iPad videoer. I take a lot of video on my iPad and just interview the kids, and we have a class blog, and I post a lot of stuff on that or on my inquiry blog, and I, especially in maths, because I actually don't have a maths book, because I found I never used it, and then I used to feel guilty about having made the parents pay for it and never.
That's why we set photos in it.
And so I had big guilt complexes about scrapbooks and things. And so this year I didn't even bother getting one. So I take lots of video.
So what books?
Post it on my blog. Yeah.
How many books do you have?
4. We have a handwriting book, a writing book. We still do a paper, like a learning journey thing, because we're not actually fully onto Seesaw. It's a bit like a portfolio-y type of thing. I think our principal's fairly keen to move on from that, which is why we're looking at Seesaw as a better option. And then I have another book which is sort of random literacy. All sorts of just kind of whatever sort of things come up, if the ones I've actually got a bunch of kids who are right into spelling, which is kind of a bit odd, I know, for a play classroom, but they love it. So that's where they do that. And if they want to practice something else along that sort of line, it goes in there. So, and that's it. We don't have any more books. We use whiteboards and whiteboards, bits of paper, clipboards, that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So there you go. There's a little teaser for our next play talk.
No, we can't wait. We're going to have lots of questions. Just wait. We're going to start writing them.
Yeah.
She's going to be sharing what she does day to day, and a bit about her journey and how she's got her beliefs and what she does. So we look really forward to that, Rebecca. Thanks, ladies. Ka kite anō.
Ka kite.
Bye, Rebecca.
Bye.
Bye.